Okay, so for this problem we have secant cubed x multiplied by tan cubed x. So we can use this trig identity, 1 plus tan squared x equals secant squared x. So we can take the original problem, right, and then just shift it around a little bit. What I mean by that is take tan cubed x, right, and make it into tan squared x and tangent x, right? So because if you multiply tan x times tangent squared x, it just becomes tan cubed x. So what I can do now is if I subtract 1 on each side, it would become tangent squared x is equal to secant squared x minus 1. So I can plug that in for tangent squared x right here, right? I can plug in secant squared x minus 1, and then have secant cubed x and tangent x right there. Now I can do a similar thing with secant cubed x. I can make secant cubed x into secant squared x and then secant x, right? Because if I multiplied secant x times secant squared x, that would get me secant cubed x. Now I'm just going to rewrite it a little bit to help show you what I'm doing better. So secant squared x is the exact same thing as secant x squared. These two mean exactly the same thing, okay? So the same thing here. That's exactly what I did. Secant x squared is the same thing as secant squared x, right? And then I just have secant x tan x. So now what I can do is u substitution, right? So u substitution is u equals secant x. And then if I take the derivative of both sides, it would be du, right? And derivative of secant x is secant x tan x dx, right? So I can plug in u every time I see a secant x. So here I would plug in u squared, and for here I would plug in u squared minus 1. And then for secant x tan x, right, all of that is equal to du. So I can just put du right there. Now I can multiply across, so it'd be u squared times u squared, which is u to the fourth, and u squared times negative 1, which is negative u squared, du. So now I can finally do the integral, so it'll be plus 1, right? So it'll be u to the fifth, divided by that number. So since I got 5, I'll be dividing by that number. And u squared, so it's plus 1, right? So plus 1 would be 3, and dividing by that number, which is 3. And then finally, plus c. Now, we can't leave it in this u form, right? Because the original answer was using x. So what we'll do is, since we did a substitution, u is equal to secant x, so we'll plug in secant x to the fifth divided by 5, secant x to the third divided by 3, and then finally plus c. So I hope all of that helped, and thanks for watching.